All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our very first episode of New York Sports Report, a direct affiliate to GM Sports Report, where Grant and I talk about all things sports. Today, and for all future episodes, I'm here with my cousin Cole. And Cole, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to get into talking about our team. Today we're really just going to talk about all the NFL stuff, just because the season is in a couple days, and it actually starts tonight for us with the Cowboys and the Eagles kicking off. But yeah, I'm really excited to get into it.
So am I.
So let's do it. We'll start. All right, so I guess we'll kind of start with do a little deep dive on the Jets. So the Jets, obviously are going through a pretty rough 14-year playoff drought, which hopefully is going to get turned around. But how are you feeling about coming into this upcoming season?
Not not very confident, to be perfectly honest with you.
Okay.
We've had some rough injuries already to start the season,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
obviously with Justin Fields coming in as our new starting quarterback. I mean, he's had some success on other teams, but uh, historically the Jets have had a rough go with quarterbacks for the past really probably since Ryan Fitzpatrick was the last best quarterback we had. I mean,
Mhm.
Uh, besides that, the rest of the offense, obviously the lack of wide receivers that are talented. Obviously, you got
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson, who I expect big things from. But besides that,
Mhm.
honestly, there's a lot to be desired with the wide receiver room. Um, besides that, I mean, I think our running back room is good. I think we got depth. Really need a big year out of Brees. Um,
Mhm.
and then on the defensive side of things, there's a lot to like, but also some question marks with some of the new additions, and then hopefully
Mhm.
a big year from some of the vets.
Yeah, so kind of touching on that running back room, I know we mentioned to it. So for those who may not know, Cole and I talk almost all the time about sports, whether it be, sports of our teams or just sports in general. So you mentioned that Brees Hall needs to have, a big year because he's got some heat behind him with Braylon Allen.
hmm
So what are your kind of expectations on that, and what do you hope to see?
I really hope to see Brees Hall have a bounce back year after several bad
Mm-hmm.
injuries, have some success more like he did his rookie year. Um, and if he
Yeah.
doesn't, honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if the team lets him go and just favors Braylon Allen as the starter.
Mm.
Because from what we've seen from him so far, he's been just as dominant, if not more dominant, compared to Brees when he has played.
Interesting. Yeah, that should be pretty interesting to watch, I think, because
Mm-hmm.
him coming into the league, what was it, last year or a year before?
Yep.
One of the youngest guys in the league, and him as big as he is, he's getting like comparisons to sizes like Derrick Henry and stuff. So I think if he can kind of really get those gears going, that could be very interesting to see. Um, you kind of touched on Justin Fields. Him and Garrett Wilson have some, chemistry with Ohio State. So, are you excited for that?
I will say I am excited for that and some of the other former Ohio State players we have on the team, their connection with Justin Fields. I do think there could be some good chemistry there. However, it has been a long time since they played together, so
Yeah.
hopefully there's not too many cobwebs there between those two guys. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because I know Aaron Glenn already said that he plans to use Justin Fields to run the ball quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but the Jets really haven't had a dominant pass game in quite some time, and I'd really like to see more of that out of the team, especially with Justin Fields.
Yeah, absolutely. As a fan, kind of looking outside in, and not being too, I guess, caught up with all the Jets, media and news and stuff. I think compared to a season like or 2 seasons before, where you have like a struggling Rodgers, if he's even on the field with how he was in his debut in the New York, I think it's exciting to see a quarterback who's younger and who has showed promise in the league to where it's just different. And I think that the culture has changed a bit with Aaron Glenn. Obviously, like I said, I'm not too involved with it, but how was
Absolutely.
your, I guess, segue from being with through seasons with Sala into Aaron Glenn? How do you feel with that?
Both guys definitely more defensively minded. So I definitely expect the defense to bounce back with a guy like Aaron Glenn, a former Jet great on
Cool.
defense.
Yep.
So I do expect big things out of the defense this year, especially the DB room. Even though there are some new guys in there, a lot of guys that left in the off season. Um,
Mhm.
but I'm hoping Aaron Glenn will have those guys in shape. As for the offense, obviously it wasn't Salah's, his bread and butter.
Right.
Um, but I hope Aaron Glenn can get a little bit more offensively minded. Just
Yeah.
kind of, yeah.
No, I gotcha.
Mhm.
Um, so you kind of spoke on defense. Do you think that Sauce Gardner needs to have like a prove himself year this year to where he kind of silences all the haters and doubters and stuff?
Absolutely. Coming into the NFL, obviously there was a lot of talk about him. In his rookie year, he
Mhm.
performed very well. Since then, still been very solid, but not quite to the level that everybody expected out of him. Definitely
Mhm.
need a big bounce back year out of him. I don't think he's in a situation where the Jets are going to look to trade him. Um, but definitely in order to um, keep his number one role on the in the DB room, I would like to see a big year out of him.
Yeah, I kind of feel that now. The same with our kind of cornerback room because just a couple of seasons ago in 2023, Giants drafted Deontay Banks. Everyone's like, okay, we got our cornerback one, and then he had a good rookie season, kind of similar to Sauce, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just been steadily declining to where last season he had probably his worst season in the NFL, and it's been hard to see because you want to have those defensive pieces behind guys like that we do on our D line, which I'd go as far to say is one of the best D lines in the league. But when you guys got guys who are struggling in the secondary, and it's hard to, I guess, combat what's being done up front. But just real quick, what are you expecting this weekend against Pittsburgh? Do you kind of have like a idea of what you could happen? Because it's Jets versus Rodgers, so kind of a homecoming thing already.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a big matchup. It would be great for the Jets to go into that game and come out with a win for Week 1. Um,
Hmm.
that Steelers team, with new additions they made, some other guys that have left. I mean, they're still a dangerous team. Mike Tomlin's an
Yeah,
excellent head coach. A lot of
absolutely.
obviously DK Metcalf. We're kind of curious to see what he's going to do. I mean, he can be a very good target for Aaron Rodgers, and I definitely think Aaron Rodgers still has a little bit left in the tank, especially if he's
Hmm.
got a better O line than he did in New York. A little more time for him back there in the pocket. I'm really hoping the defense can hold them. A little less confident in
Yeah.
our offense because they have a very stout
Okay.
defense as well. Really need to
Hmm.
see big things out of Justin Fields, obviously going up against his former team as well. I would like to see,
That's true. That's true.
yeah, would like to see some big things out of him for sure.
Yeah. No, that's great. I think you put that in a kind of a good perspective. When I look at that Steelers team, it's like, man, it's like kind of like a retirement home in my mind. You got
Mm-hmm.
Darius Slay on defense, and you got Jalen Ramsey as well, who they just acquired in the
Mm-hmm.
offseason. And then you got Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, obviously. And then they get DK Metcalf. So there's a lot of pieces coming and going. They did let go of George Pickens, so that was kind of like a thing where it's like, okay, we have DK and George, but then it's like, actually, we only have DK, so that'll be interesting to see as well. And then they just signed Warren to a deal, which I think is pretty good for them. But I'm really excited for this matchup against you guys and the Steelers. But yeah, that should be fun to watch.
Absolutely. Like I said, I'm not super confident, especially in the offense, just going into
Okay.
seeing the Jets play previous seasons. But
Yeah, yeah.
it would it would absolutely be it'd be huge for us to get a Week 1 win against Rodgers and the Steelers.
Absolutely. And to kind of just cap off, I think on the Jets, like, how does it feel before this, like after preseason, and like right before the season starts, in that tiny little window, that a star on the O line like Elijah Vera Tucker goes down with a season-ending torn tricep injury?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's heartbreaking to see because the guy has so much
Mm-hmm.
talent. Unfortunately, he's just had bad luck throughout his entire career with injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, I think for the first time in a while, we are deep enough at the offensive line where we can shift
Cool.
some guys around, um,
Yep.
and hopefully have a decent starting unit, at least the best one we've had in a while. Um, yeah, as
Good.
for him, I wish, obviously, I wish him a speedy recovery, and I hope that,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, he doesn't get traded, but obviously, that's something to look out for.
It
If,
happens. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yep. So, kind of also to cap off on the Jets, what is your? I hate to put you on the spot, but what do you think would be like your like record prediction?
I've thought about this a lot, actually, just kind of looking through the schedule. And kind of like you
Mhm.
guys, we do have somewhat of a difficult schedule. I don't think quite
Mhm.
as bad as you guys, but I mean, it's pretty rough. So I'd be happy with, well, obviously not happy, but I'm expecting 5 to 7 wins.
Okay. That's not a bad ballpark.
Mm,
Especially kind of where New York teams have been, or at least our New York teams have been in the past few
mm,
seasons, and especially you guys have had a very rough go at it for a long time. So
yeah.
hopefully it's just kind of like a rebuild into a rebuild year to where next year looks a lot better. But
Mm,
anything can happen. So you have about five, in that 5 to 7 win range, which I'd be willing to say it's around the same as far as where I would predict you guys.
mm.
So cool. That's to. Do you have any more like closing Jets remarks that you'd like to say before we kind of get into the Giants?
Nothing that really comes to mind. Honestly, just not really expecting a huge season out of us. Really, just
Okay.
looking for some of the new guys and some of the vets to really step it up and have a better year. So, like you said, kind of going into a rebuild. Hopefully
Yeah.
those guys
Yep.
can still be a big part of the team.
Cool. Cool. Well, that was, obviously this is our only time on air that we'll be talking about before week one against Pittsburgh. So we will, get back to them after the game is done, and then we'll kind of switch over to the Giants side of it now. The
Hmm.
Giants obviously come off of a very rough season, 3-14 last year and the 100-year anniversary. We actually went to the season opener last year against
Yes,
the
we did.
Vikings.
Yeah, that
How
was a rough game.
how disappointing was that game? Yeah, that
It was
that was
definitely
a very rough
disappointing,
game.
especially with all the
Yeah.
legends
So,
being there at the stadium. It's
oh
it's
man,
hard to
dude,
let those
that
guys
hurt.
down like that.
So, like, we're just walking around the concourse before a snap even happens, and we run into
Mm.
Phil Simms. It's like, wow, this
Yeah.
guy's a Giants legend, and like,
Yep.
we have high expectations, and then
Hmm.
obviously a once in a lifetime thing that we'll be able to see where one of our teams gets to experience a 100-year anniversary. Well, I don't know where you guys are at actually, but just
Well,
my team actually.
in terms of the Jets, I believe we are at about 60 years. We've been around longer than that, but since we've been the Jets, I think it's been around 60 years.
Okay, so you still got a little while, but as far as the 100-year anniversary goes, that was a pretty rough one for the New York Giants.
Hmm.
So offseason acquisitions, I'm very happy with what we did. First, I'm going to talk about the draft. We got
Hmm.
Abdul Carter in the third spot, which
Yeah.
I don't think anyone thought anything else was going to happen there. Maybe there was a little
Hmm.
speculation here and there, but Abdul Carter was the
Hmm.
clear number one guy on who the Giants were going to take. And going into, I guess, all the pre-draft stuff, it was clear that Brian Dable really liked Jackson Dart. Now,
Hmm.
this kind of had me torn because I wanted, if we were going to take a quarterback, I felt like we could have got something in the second round. I didn't want to get him at the third. You have talents like Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter that you can get, and then I see us trade back into the first round, I'm like, oh boy, we're gonna get Shador. I don't know how to feel about this. And then I see Jackson Dart get called. I'm like, wow, really? It was like
Yeah,
I think one of the I wouldn't say the first biggest shock because I think Cleveland trading away was a bigger shock to me in the first round.
absolutely.
But us taking Jackson Dart, I was like, wow, all right. And then, but you got to think about it. He's sitting behind a Super Bowl winning quarterback in Russell Wilson, and then a Heisman winning quarterback in Jameis Winston. So there's a lot to look forward to there. What do you think about that quarterback room so far?
It's going to be interesting to see what happens throughout the season, depending on how the
Hmm.
record is, to see how early darts may start.
Yes.
Um, I think if the Giants were smart, they would start Russ for the majority of the season, and then
Yep.
eventually, move on to Dart. Um, but I mean, who knows? Obviously, I think they got
Yeah.
three solid guys overall. I think
Yeah.
Jameis is a perfectly serviceable backup, and obviously,
Hmm.
there's a lot of hype surrounding Jackson Dart now after the preseason he had, and I
Absolutely.
mean, and who knows with Russ? I mean, he had some success in Pittsburgh last year, but very different teams.
Yeah.
So curious to see what he can do.
It's definitely questionable. I'm a big, like I said, at first I was like, wow, we really took. Then I thought about it, seeing where he was going to sit behind. Um, I'm a big believer in Brian Dable and how he can, develop this guy, Jackson Dart, who he loves so much. He was
Hmm.
stuck with Daniel Jones. That's not on him as a coach to
Yeah,
who he wanted to draft. That whoever
that is
gets
true.
stuck with Daniel Jones, that's rough. And for all
Yeah.
you Colts fans, I apologize in advance. I've seen it for
Yeah.
6 years. We traded our franchise away for a guy. We let the best player in our team go and win the Super Bowl and win Offensive Player of the Year. So that was probably one of the biggest nightmares as a Giants fan to see that happen. Um,
Hmm.
but I'm excited. Abdul Carter's fitting with Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Dexter Lawrence, and then you have Paulson Adebo at DB, who's going to be DB1 from the Saints. That's exciting. And then
Hmm.
I almost said Xavier McKinney, but we don't have him anymore, and which
Yeah,
sucks.
it's unfortunate. Unfortunate you guys let him go. He's had a very
Yes.
successful stint in Green Bay, but
Mm-hmm. And then he turns into an All-Pro at Green Bay, getting. I think he was leading the league in interceptions at one point. It's
yeah,
like, man, what in the world? And we're having the worst season in almost franchise history.
hmm,
Um, but yeah, man, it's exciting. Like kind of like you. I'm not expecting too much, especially with what the I think schedule gods have given us on paper. We have the hardest schedule in the NFL, which why um,
yeah,
but we got to go against Washington, Dallas, and Philly twice a year, which I
yeah.
think we
It's kind
got
of a
swept
gauntlet.
by all of
Yeah,
them last year.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's hard, but we have some teams that I think we can beat. I think we can beat Saints. I don't know. I think the Patriots are such a wild card this year to where they
it's
could be
very
really
true.
good, but I'm
Yeah, you got to
not
see what
gonna
Drake May's gonna do.
exactly. So that's kind of more of a your worry, I think, as far as
Mm.
he's in your division. But
Yeah. Well,
yeah, real quick, how do you feel about your division? Where do you think you'll be able to beat like Miami and Patriots?
in recent history, we've had a tough time against Miami. We've gotten blown out a few times the last couple times we played them.
Yeah.
Just which sucks to see against any division rival. But
Mhm.
obviously, the Patriots have been in somewhat of a similar boat as we have in recent years, just kind of in that rebuilding phase. Although I think they've gotten off to a hot start, and really we got to see what
Yeah.
Drake May's going to do. I think he's going to be the
Mhm.
real deciding factor on what that team does this year. I still think Buffalo's going to win the division, like they have been for years
Oh,
now.
without a doubt. Yeah,
I
without a
mean,
doubt.
obviously, you can say what you want about their wide receiver room, but I mean, I think it's hard to. I think it's hard to, it's hard to lose with Josh Allen for sure.
Yeah, I'd go up there and say he's probably the best quarterback in the league. So I
He's up
mean,
there for
last
sure.
year he was. I mean,
Yeah, winning MVP.
NFL
Obviously, a lot of
MVP.
people
Yeah.
think Lamar, should have won it,
Yeah.
but
Yep. It was a toss up, I think. Could have gone either way,
mhm.
but I would
Yeah.
like to say that Joe Burrow could have won if his defense was, helping.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we'll save
He had
that
to
debate
perform
for
well.
another thing. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, to kind of cap off on the Giants, I'm really excited about, some of our new offensive additions as well. Like Cam Scatterboo, I think that's
hmm
going to be very fun to watch whenever he kind of gets implemented into this offense. I don't think he'll be, an every down back. I think he'll kind of
No.
come in on third and fourth short and like situations, things like that.
hmm
Tyrone Tracy will be the all down every down back.
Yeah.
Um, and he's been exciting to watch too. I didn't expect
hmm
much of him last year, and he kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Um,
he definitely kind of surprised, I think, a lot of people with how productive he's been.
yep. I'm just kind of glad to not have to watch Singletary every play. Don't get me wrong, he was good, but when you have a guy
hmm
like Tyrone Tracy and now Cam Scatterboo, it's going to be fun to watch. And then obviously
Yeah.
the best player on our offense, Malik Neighbors. I'm so
hmm
excited to watch and see what he can do with hopefully a much more consistent quarterback room. Dealing with 4 different quarterbacks last year, that's a wide receiver's nightmare, but he still, put up over 1,000 yards. I think he was like 1,200 and got Pro Bowl praise for that while missing. I think it was like what was it like 2 or 3 games? I think
Something
so.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, with that concussion, and I'm expecting a lot from him this year, and I think over the off season he's kind of matured a lot, which is something you need to see. Um, and yeah, he's free of the Daniel Jones curse. I couldn't imagine him with another
Yeah.
season with him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm excited for everything. I'm not expecting a lot. I think we're kind of in the
hmm
same boat with that.
Yeah.
But man, the future is looking great for at least like with what I'm seeing as far as the Giants, and I can't wait. Um, yeah, my prediction I think will be around 5 wins as well.
hmm
I'd be happy if we got to 7 with how our schedules looked. But if we can get a couple division wins, I'll be happy. That's all I care
Yeah.
about. If we get a couple division wins, so
Well, I mean, with the Cowboys losing Micah Parsons, there's definitely a possibility. We got to see
Shoo,
what they're gonna
yeah,
do tonight. I mean, got to
yep,
see what that team looks like, especially against the reigning Super Bowl champions, the Philadelphia Eagles.
yep, yep. No, that's a great point you made because that kind of completely went over my head. That was such an amazing day for me because not only my best friend, he's a Cowboys fan, but I
hmm
absolutely despise, the Cowboys
hmm
and like with a record, just an absolute record against any kind of O line with Micah Parsons to see him out of the division, it's amazing to see. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the season. Do you have like anything else you'd like to kind of top off?
I don't think so. I mean, obviously, just tempered expectations overall.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see some key players hopefully have a better year, but really not expecting too much from the team overall.
Yeah, I get that. I'm like I said, I think we're in the same boat there. But yeah, man, the expectations are low, but the excitement is high for the both of us. I'll tell you that.
hmm
We've both been missing football, and it's finally here with this in college. We're going to be talking about a lot, and we will next week. We'll probably put out 2 episodes with. One probably being NFL, where we talk about both of our teams again, and then the next one we'll be talking about um, probably more Yankees and then Knicks because we were both, fans of those teams. Knicks, there's not too much to talk about as of right now, but the Yankees, it's getting
Same.
into Yankees is kind of getting into a pretty big, part of the season with, postseason coming up. But yes, like you
hmm
said, Knicks will be talking about much more soon. That's very exciting as always to talk about. But
Yep.
yep. Well, I guess we'll get into closing remarks. I want to thank everybody. Thank you for watching another or our first episode of New York Sports Report. If you have not, make sure to check out GM Sports Report. That's kind of like where we started it. Me and Grant, we talk about all things sports. And yeah, I appreciate everyone watching and be on the lookout for our episodes next week. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.